So week 2 of fall season of anime 2016 has arrived, because episode 2 of Izetta has finally aired. So it's about to be those times to where every first episode of all the series coming out for fall will be out very soon with this upcoming week. So it's just kind of crazy. Time always flies so fast. It does. So let's talk about this first episode. Many of you Chibits were talking about this last week and let me know on Twitter, and so I want to take a moment to talk about it. You were all saying that this series is doing a fantastic job with the designs of its guns, to tanks, to different things from World War II. Many Chibits that are fans of the history of World War II have been enjoying this series because of how accurate some of the designs are, especially when it comes to the guns, to like the planes, all sorts of stuff throughout the series. And I saw some telling me that also the designs of this episode as well was just as impressive. But one of the big things that many of them said, besides just the designs, they were saying that the sound effects of the series is just hilarious, because it literally sounds like pew 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 pew, and I didn't realize it last week until many of you Chibits pointed it out. And then when I went back, watched the episode just to see him, and I was watching this episode, I'm like, yo, I can't unsee it now. I can't unhear it. The pew 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 pew. So it just, yeah, I can't unsee or unhear that at all. So that right there, a little bit of a funny thing when it comes to the sound effects, but I'm glad that many of the fans of the history of World War II have been enjoying the designs of the series, especially with the guns and stuff, because that means that the animators and the designers of the series are really taking the time and effort to put in those little details, which not a lot of studios would be willing to do. So that's some props to the animators on that, just being able to add those little designs and details to guns and stuff that many fans would enjoy and appreciate if they caught on. It's little stuff that really makes the things just so much more enjoyable. So the main point of this episode, I guess, was Fine, the princess, and Izetta's relationship. Seeing these two and what type of role they're gonna play in the series. And judging by the way this episode was displayed, it seems like it's going to be one of those series that's more character-driven than plot-driven. For instance, with the story, I feel like it's going to be more driven by these two characters and the weight that they carry on their shoulders than anything else. Because we see this interesting character interaction between them and what happened in the past, and how these two changed each other, and how the princess is a very courageous and nice person, but also how Izetta is a caring friend that really loves her friend and wants to keep her safe and her entire country safe. So you see this really interesting relationship between these two, and you can definitely see that these two characters can become great characters and very crucial to if we're going to either like or hate this series as it continues on. So the flashback we get to find out that Izetta, as you know, a witch, she has power. A lot of her family, all previous witches, or her family, was nomads. They traveled around, they were just travelers going from place to place. They didn't have a real home to say that it was theirs. And they were shunned by society. No one really liked them, no one wanted them around, and that's usually how witches are told in history and stuff. I mean, if we think about it, anyone that was fought a witch, either they'd be burned at the stake, hung, drowned, whatever, and if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Her family was shunned, they were outcasts, they were never wanted, and so their family had to constantly keep it secret. She had to keep it secret about her powers and not let anyone know exactly she was a witch. And eventually, amongst her journeys, she eventually wound up being found out by the princess. The princess found out about her magical abilities, and they became friends, because for the first time in Izetta's life, she met someone that was around her age and accepted her for who she was. After hearing all these countless stories, after moving her entire young life, she finally met someone that didn't think she was a monster, didn't think she was disgusting, didn't want to shove her away because she was weird. She met someone that was compassionate, kind, and cared about her. And she realized this, and so she wanted to spend time with her. And as time went on, you see how these two spent so much time together. They cared for each other. And you got to see where Izetta was training her abilities, her powers, and trying to become better at it. And you had it to where the Princess Fine was just trying to encourage her, being a really good support to her in her young life. And one day, something happened to where Izetta was trying to settle down in a town, and somehow the town people found out, and she got attacked. She got attacked, and the princess stood up for her, jumped in front, and took an injury for her. And we don't get all the tiny little details of the scene. We don't get all the dialogue and everything that led up to it, but we can kind of piece it together that the princess, she jumped in front of Izetta. She took a blow that was going to be designed to hurt her, and she saved her, And also, the princess was trying to take care of her, and the villagers knew what she did and backed off. And time passes, we get a little bit of a time skip with the flashback, and we see it to where Izetta, she's living happily in the village. It seems like the village, for the most part, has accepted her for who she is. And then she sees it to where, you know, Germans attack the entire town, and then, you know, her entire family, everything gets attacked. Everything's lost, and she gets captured. And that's where we're at right now in the story. She gets put in, like, that, you know, big capsule, that coffin, and then eventually the princess finds her in episode 1. So we got all the details and setup of how, you know, Izetta got there, got in the plane, what happened to her town. Her town was destroyed where she was, and now she's just there to try and to protect the princess. She wants to protect her country from what is currently going on. So it's a very good setup. This episode was mainly meant for setup and characterization and development for these two characters and what type of weight they're going to have on the entirety of the story. So besides that, let's talk about the dogfight. The dogfight is something that really got me engaged in the episode because I didn't expect it to be that good. Now, I'm not, you know, a person that's really well-versed completely all the knowledge and stuff about World War II. I don't know everything. I don't, okay? I'm just going to be straight up, with all of you right now. But I will say, however, when it came to designs of the planes and stuff, or, you know, the dogfighting, I was a big fan of the way that was done. The way that was animated and all that, the way they turned, the way the propellers were. That was something I knew that the animators put a lot of effort into. The design of that, the way they moved around and stuff. You could see that they put a lot of care into animating those scenes. Now, speaking of animation art, the animation art did take a little bit of a nosedive in this episode. It wasn't bad, like it wasn't like, oh, like it wasn't like that. No, it wasn't. It was just, it was okay. It was flat okay, but there was some frames of the episode that was kind of like, no. But, I mean, besides that, it was a good second episode of the series. So yeah, I mean, Izetta is looking up to be a very solid series from fall season of anime 2016. I do like it so far. I do like the care and effort they're putting into the different aspects of World War II into it, and they're mixing a perfect blend, like magical, fantasy type aspects and historical aspects together that just works. Usually something like this I wouldn't like. Usually I would just cast this aside and say, fuck this shit. That's usually kind of how I'd react. But the way it's being done, you could see that the writer of the series, not just the animators or the people producing it right now, but you could tell that the writer put a lot of effort into what he was writing or she was writing at the time of making this story, and I could definitely see it when it's being animated. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.